Hey guys, okay, so the next part I want to help you with is setting precedent because when if you ever watched any of those law shows, they might be citing court cases. Well, this is similar to Roe v. Wade, or this is similar to Brown versus Board of Education. When the Supreme Court makes their decisions, whatever case they're in, however they decide, that becomes the rule. That's what precedent is. Okay, so whatever rule has been set, however it's been applied, everything that comes after is supposed to meet that standard, as long as it is the same idea, same basically in principle. And so this is a really important skill, and it can be kind of confusing. So I wanted to help you out. Now, um, on the slide that I'm going to put this video is next to me one of those pictures that are in all the U.S. history books. I'm not here to say that we're terrible. I'm just saying we are always evolving. Okay. And so back in the day, there used to be laws called Jim Crow that kept people separate by race. Okay. And so for a long time, that worked. And it worked because people saw us following the Civil War not being able to coexist peacefully. Now, of course, that decision was Plessy v. Ferguson. Plessy v. Ferguson, guy gets on a train, actually is of a mixed, background, passes white, got a ticket for the white car. However, when the conductor came around, he said, "You are not, this is not your ticket." He says, "Yes, it is." Of course, he then is required to go back to the back cars, okay, which he says, "No, I purchased this thing." He gets kicked off, and that's Plessy. Now, Plessy, of course, sues and says, "Hey, I was discriminated against." That's the 14th Amendment, okay? The 14th Amendment is meant to stop from discrimination. Now, the thing is that the Supreme Court said, you and John Doe both buy tickets for this train. You both are going to get the service that you want. Just because you're not on the right car or on the car that you want to be on, that's irrelevant, okay? And so that's what gave strength to segregation. Now, of course, that had to change, okay? When enough people got put on the Supreme Court that they could see the needs of society and that it was time to really embrace that 14th Amendment because separate is not equal, okay? And so when we look at this, you guys, so what I did was here I gave that background about Plessy v. Ferguson, okay? But remember, at the time when they made that decision, that became the rule of law for everybody after that, okay? So it extended not just to trains, but it went into diners, it went everywhere, okay? Then with some time, and with some evolution and a few wars that saw the military even desegregate, we came to the court case that we now know as Brown versus Board of Education. It was the 1950s. Little girl could have gone to a nearby white school, was made to walk several blocks, get on a bus, be on the bus for a really long time to go to her assigned school, which was not white and definitely was not equal. And so through this, they went to the Supreme Court and said, while Plessy v. Ferguson, they were getting the same service. You can't say that making this young lady, basically suffer an undue burden would actually get the exact same education, because that's impossible. Okay, that is definitely impossible, especially because the conditions between the schools were not the same. So Supreme Court said, you're absolutely right. And unanimously at that point, because it's a different group of guys or different group of people, mostly guys at that point, that they said, no, this is the new one. Okay. And so while Plessy is seen as one of the worst decisions in American history, you have to understand it's all about what's happening in our society at that time. Okay. Brown versus Board of Education was the beginning of what is going to be the civil rights movement. Okay. And so the precedent here is all about how that 14th Amendment is being applied. So the amendment doesn't change, the laws do.